Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 4 of Bracketology, your guys' favorite series on the channel. Definitely the views show that y'all love Bracketology more than anything else. So I had to bring it back around for another year, of course, and this is the preseason edition. Of course, college basketball starting today. Actually, a few games have already gotten underway. But starting today, should be a fun season ahead of us. A lot of intriguing storylines, some good teams coming into this year. And we'll see how everyone does, and we'll see who is crowned champion at the end of the year. So, if y'all don't know how this works, these are my bracket projections right now. Obviously, they're not going to be like this when the season's done. But these are my current. This is where I would rank the teams starting in the preseason, and depending on how well they do throughout the season, I will move them up and down accordingly. What I'm gonna shoot for is maybe a new update. Let's say every other week, and then when it gets to January, February, March, you will get a new video, a new bracketology every week. Every week there will be a new bracketology. So I will make picks this video. Sometimes there'll be picks. Like I'll fill out the whole bracket. Sometimes there will not be. This one there will be picks. So yeah. Without further ado, I'm gonna just go matchup by matchup. We can talk about the teams. First matchup, UNC, who is supposed to be the best team this year. UNC. I mean, they were kind of mediocre last year, but then completely turned it around at the end of the year. Made the ACC title game, I think, and then ran it all the way to the national title. Almost won said national title. Didn't quite get over the hump. And they returned, I think, everyone except for Brady Manning. They still have Caleb Love and R.J. Davis and Armando Bacot. They're the number one team in the nation for a reason, and I have no problem with that. Some people may argue Houston. Some people may argue Kentucky. Some people may argue Baylor or Kansas. I think North Carolina at 1 is a good spot to put them in. They're definitely going to be a national title contending threat this year. So we'll see what UNC has in the tank. Xavier and Wyoming is our next matchup. Wyoming actually was really good last year. They made a play-in game. They played against IU and lost, but they had a really strong team. Graham Ike, their center, is a stud, but what I hear is that he will be missing a significant portion of the season. He might be missing 1 to 2 months with an injury. Xavier, always a pretty strong team. They made it pretty far in the NIT last year, and they returned a lot of their team. I think Wyoming is the better team. If Graham Ike is playing, I think it's actually pronounced Ike, not Ike. If he's playing, there are going to be not a lot of teams that could stop them. So I'm going to take Wyoming. Very strong team. Toledo and Arizona. Now, Toledo almost made the tournament last year. Kind of fell apart near the end of the year. Arizona, on the other hand, lost a lot from their team. They lost Benedict Mathurin. I think they lost Koloko, too. I know they lost a significant amount for that team that was a number 1 seed. I like Toledo here. This is an upset pick for me. Give me the Rockets. Yeah, Toledo was a real strong team last year, and kind of folded near the end of the year. I think this is going to be. I think they're going to have a really good team this year. They were near the top in almost every offensive efficiency category. Toledo was, so I like their chances here. San Diego State and Vermont. I'm taking San Diego State. San Diego State had a real good team last year, and then completely choked it come March. Completely blew it to Syracuse, I think. I'm taking San Diego State. I think they're gonna get it done, at least in the first round this year. Miami and the winner of St. John's and Notre Dame. I'm for sure taking Miami. Real strong team that made the Elite 8 last year. They're getting Kansas State transfer Nigel Pack, who they paid quite a bit of money to come. So he better be good. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take Miami. When they play together, what I noticed is when they played Kansas in the Elite 8, I was at that game. When they can come together and play as a team, there are very few people that can beat them. But when they get off balance doing their own bullshit, they're not a very good team. Arkansas, they have a really good recruiting class coming in. A lot of highly touted freshmen. They pretty much overhauled their team, yet they're still going to be pretty good. A lot of people are high on Arkansas. I think they will definitely have a good squad. Um, I'll take them over the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette, who I have winning the Sun Belt. Alabama and Florida State, two of the biggest party schools in the country. How good are they at basketball? Well, they're both pretty good. I'm not sure who I'd take here. I think I'm going to take Florida State, though. They usually have a pretty good team. I like their coach. I like Leonard Hamilton. Give me Florida State. Kentucky and UC Santa Barbara. I feel like a lot of people are going to be upset. I don't have Kentucky as a 1. I think there are teams that are better than Kentucky. I think they're a little overrated. I'm not going to lie. I think Baylor's, but my 4-1 seeds by the way are North Carolina, Houston, Baylor, Gonzaga. I think all 4 of those teams are easily better than Kentucky, and I would maybe put Kansas ahead of Kentucky, and maybe even UCLA. I'm not as high as Kentucky as some other people are. I've seen some people put them at number 1. I think that's crazy, but I'm gonna have them as a solid 2, and a good 2 seed. In the West, I have Gonzaga as the number 1 seed. Now, I have a problem with Gonzaga, and I like rooting for them. They've never won a national title, so I like to root them in that regard. But everyone picks them to win the national title every year, and they've never won one. I'm telling you right now, you will not see me. I'm going to kind of spoil the season, but you will not see me pick Gonzaga in any bracketology until they win it all. I'm never picking Gonzaga to win it all ever until they do it. Because they just always blow it come March. They play really good teams out of conference. And to their credit, that's good that they're playing good teams out of conference. And then they play through a pretty cupcake conference schedule. Now, to be fair, last year their conference was pretty strong. San Francisco made the tournament. St. Mary's made the tournament. BYU's usually pretty good, but still, their conference is not that great. And then they make it through a few games in March, and then they lose to like a 4 seed or a 5 seed or a 2 seed. So I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe routine. I'll take them to win this game, but not much further. USC and Iowa, 8-9. I'm going to take Iowa. I definitely think they're still going to be pretty good, even after losing some people this past year. They still got some talent from that team that won the Big Ten tournament. So I'm going to take Iowa. Oregon and the winner of Memphis and Oklahoma. I'll tell you right now, Will Richardson on Oregon is a dog. He is really good and talented player. Watch out for him this year. He can do it all. He basically carried that team last year and is going to be doing it again. They return a lot of people from that team that barely missed the tournament. Iona and Texas. I don't think Texas is that great. I really don't. I'm gonna take Rick Pitino. Yeah, he's coaching Iona, and I'm gonna take the Gales. I'm really not a fan of Texas. I just don't think they're gonna be that great. A lot of transfers. I mean, like they were supposed to be really good last year, and they just kind of were mid throughout the season. Made the tournament as like a 6 seed and lost in the second round to Purdue. So I'm gonna take Iona upset. UConn and Florida. I am taking UConn because their center, Adamas Sanogo, is a goon. He is so good, man. I would watch him play last year and just watch him bully through people. He is a stud. Definitely taking UConn here. My friend goes, you want to know how irrelevant UConn is at basketball now? He goes, you just said UConn and I thought of like YUKON, like the Canadian territory. UConn will have a legit team. Big East championship contender right there. I'm high on UConn. Creighton and Yale. I'm going to take Creighton. I think they're going to be a very good team. I definitely think Creighton can contend this year. A lot of people have Creighton like in the top, like they're ranked 9 right now. I think that's a little high, if you ask me. A lot of people I've seen some people have them like as a Final Four contender. Okay, I think they'll be good. I don't think they'll be that good. We'll have to see. Creighton's a good team, but I feel like they're getting a little bit more credit than how good they are. Michigan, and UAB. I'm pulling an upset here, and I'm taking UAB. UAB was a very strong team last year. Made the tournament as a 12 seed, and they almost upset Houston, a team that made it all the way to the Elite Eight. So UAB is a very strong team, and they return pretty much everyone from that team. I think UAB could have the potential to even be ranked at some point this year. That's how good I think they'll be. Michigan has Hunter Dickinson. I know, good player. Not as good as some other people, but I mean, a good player, I guess. I'm liking UAB though. I'm pulling this upset here. UCLA and Akron. I will take UCLA. I was really high on them last year. Didn't pan out that well. I'm just going to go ahead and be high on them again this year. They still have Tiger Campbell. They still have Jamie Jaquez. And they're still a very good team. And they have Amari Bailey coming in, 5-star recruit. He is a very good player. So give me UCLA. On this side, Houston. Marcus Sasser coming back. They had another guy coming back. I think they said that, like, I saw a stat. It was like return production from last year, and Houston actually has the most return production from any team in all of college basketball. And they made it to the Elite Eight last year, so easily a 1 seed for me. They're a terrific team, great team. Houston is. I'm definitely taking them to win right here. St. Louis and Virginia, 2 very solid teams. I don't know, man. Virginia's got that tournament experience, but I feel like St. Louis is always a sneaky good team. Always a very sneaky good team. I'm going to take the safe pick, though. I'm going to take Virginia. Illinois and Drake. Drake is a team that is looking to have a very good year in the Missouri Valley. A lot of people are taking them to be a big upset contending team this year. I am going to take Illinois, however. They're still a very good team. I think people are saying IU are the favorites to win the Big Ten. I definitely think Illinois is the biggest threat to them. I think Illinois is the next best team in the Big Ten behind Indiana. And we'll talk about Indiana later. But I will for sure take Illinois here. Grand Canyon, who's supposed to have a decent year, I hear from people. And Villanova. I'm definitely taking Villanova. Always a great team under Jay Wright. You can never count them out. You just know they're always going to have a good team. Texas Tech, good squad against St. Mary's, also a very good squad. 50-50 pick here. I'm going to take Texas Tech. They have a really good transfer coming in from Utah Valley, and they return a lot of people from that team that was pretty good last year. Tennessee and Towson. I'm definitely taking Tennessee. Santiago Vescovi is a dog. They have another guy, Ziegler. Is he still there? I think he is. Yeah, very, very good team, Tennessee. Dayton and Ohio State, and an all Ohio battle right here. People are probably the most comments I've been getting from people are, is Dayton that good? Because they're ranked to start the year, and a lot of people don't think they should be. So people are saying, Quincy, is Dayton that good? Well, I'll say this: they did beat Kansas in the regular season last year, and Kansas went on to win the national title. So that tells you something. And they return a lot of people from that team. So I'm going to say, I'm not sure if I would have them ranked. I think they're ranked 24, which would put them at about a 5 or 6 seed. I have them at a 7. I have them a little bit lower than some people. But yes, they are still a good team, and I am going to take them over Ohio State. Duke and Montana State. I would die if Montana State beat Duke. I have a friend who is actually wrestling at Duke, and he told me, he goes, bro, I was in shambles after they lost to UNC. Yeah, no, for sure, I'm taking Duke. And then first round of the last region, we have Baylor as the number 1 seed. Now Baylor and Kansas are actually tied in the preseason rankings. They are both number 5. I just realized I have Baylor and Kansas in the same region. Shit. I'm actually gonna put Kansas up here real quick, just because I don't want the 1 and 2 teams from the same conference in the same region. It's just like they don't set up the bracket that way, so I'm not gonna set up my bracket that way. Kansas, I am gonna take Kansas here. Kansas won the national title last year. Great team. They returned some people. They're not gonna be as good. They aren't, but they're still Kansas, and they're still gonna be very good. Bill Self is actually suspended for the first 4 games of the season because of some shady recruiting back in the day, but I don't really think Kansas fans care. Yeah, Kansas will still be good. I'm definitely taking Baylor. I think if you ask me who's better, both these teams are tied for 5th in the rankings. If you ask me who's better, I think Baylor's a little bit better. I think Baylor's a little bit more well-rounded. Adam Flagler, LJ Cryer, they got a lot of really good people on their team. Very well-rounded team. They're not a team that's just going to have to rely on one person. They will share the rock and get scoring from multiple guys when they need to. Baylor's really turned into a powerhouse program. Michigan State and Virginia Tech, two very average teams this year, I feel like. I'll take Michigan State. Auburn and Furman. Furman's supposed to be pretty good, but I think I'm going to take Bruce Pearl's squad and Auburn. TCU and Oral Roberts is projected to make the tournament. Give me TCU. I was thinking, I almost put TCU near a 3 seed. A lot of people are high on TCU. They were a 9 seed last year and came this close to pulling off a huge upset against Arizona. Game went to overtime or whatever. Anyway, they were a great team last year. I think they upset Baylor at one point too. They were beating some good teams last year, and they returned a lot of people from that team. I was tempted to put them at a 3. Honestly, I feel like I should have switched them in Creighton. I feel like TCU should be a 3, Creighton should be a 4. But that's just me. But yeah, strong team TCU. I would watch out for them. A&M and Oklahoma State. A&M got robbed of a tournament spot last year. Was very average through the regular season, but then ran through the SEC tournament. They beat Arkansas, Auburn, and Florida like all in a row. And then made it to the SEC title game against Tennessee. Came up a little bit short. But I'm like, oh, they got a real good record. They should make the tournament. Nope, they got snubbed. And they returned, I think they returned they returned quite a bit from that team. A&M revenge tour. I'm definitely high on Texas A&M for basketball. I think they're going to win this round. All right, Indiana, the school I attend and whose game I'll be going to today. Now, last year they were a play-in team and won and then got their ass whooped by St. Mary's. But they return of their starting lineup, they return Xavier Johnson, Race Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis, and Miller Cobb. So that's most of the starters. And they bring in 2 terrific freshmen in Jalen Hood-Schifino and Malik Reneau. I went to the preseason game when they played Marion. Trace Jackson Davis was out. He had like a little bit of an injury, like tweaked his hand or a little bit. It was nothing serious, but they're like, we're not going to play him in a preseason game. It's just not smart. So Malik Reneau got to play the whole game, and he looked great, man. Great stuff out of Malik Reneau. Jalen Hood-Schifino, I think he has more potential. He definitely has more potential. And he was making a bunch of great plays, cutting to the rim, spinning around. He almost had a triple-double. He had like 15 points, 8 rebounds, and like 7 assists. But then he had a few sloppy plays. Maybe I'm being overcritical. He had a few sloppy turnovers. But he's a freshman. It's his first ever game. It was a preseason game. I'm not going to be too worried. A little bit sloppy for my liking. Again, I'm probably being a little overcritical. And then they got Trey Galloway off the bench. They got Jordan Geronimo, who's a stud off the bench. Reneau will probably be coming off the bench with Trace starting. Trace is, I think, the best player in America. Him or Shibwe. Either him or if you ask anyone who's the best player in the country, I think it's either Oscar Shibwe, Armando Bacot, or Trace Jackson Davis. If you say one of those 3, I'm not going to argue with you. I think you could say any of those 3, and people will be like, that's reasonable. Yeah, for sure taking them over the toothpaste school, Colgate. Definitely. Yeah, big hopes for IU, man. They're finally supposed to be good in basketball. I feel like there's 2 things. I feel like IU basketball this year is either going to be really, really good and in the top 10 most of the year, or they just totally disappoint and are like fighting to get in the tournament at the end of the year. I hope it's the first one. Now, to IU's main rival, Purdue. They lost a lot from their team last year. They lost Jay Nivey, who's a generational talent, probably the best player to come through Purdue in the last few years. And they lost Travion Williams. Lost both of those players to the NBA. Those are two terrific players. They still have Zach Edey, who, if you ask me, is pretty overrated. Not that he's a bad player. I saw that there was a stat called like points per 40 minutes because each game is 40 minutes. It was like if this player played all 40 minutes, this is how much they said that like Zach Edey was averaging like 30 points per 40 minutes, and it was like so much higher than everyone else in the country. But he gets into foul trouble all the time. It's like he's barely on the court, it feels like. And now he doesn't have Travion Williams to accompany him in that little area. I definitely think they're better than Providence, a team that also was a 4 seed last year but also lost a lot of talent. I think they're better than Providence and they win, but Purdue will be good, nowhere near how good they were last year. They were very good last year until they lost to a 15 seed. Yeah. Purdue is they just can't win in March. It's a fact. It's just a fact. I'm sorry. They've been ranked number 1. You know how many times Purdue's been ranked number 1? 1 week they were ranked number 1 and they lost to Rutgers. So we already talked about Duke. I think they'll beat Liberty. And that's the first round. Let's move to the second round, shall we? I think we shall. For sure taking North Carolina over Wyoming. I mean, Graham, Ike, or Ike would have to have... I mean, he'd have to play like Wilt Chamberlain for them to win that game. For sure taking San Diego State over Toledo. I got high hopes for the Aztecs this year. Definitely going with San Diego State. Miami and Arkansas. See, here's what I'm worried about for Arkansas. Is their team is very young. A lot of freshmen that are going to be starting. And sometimes not all freshman teams, but teams that are very young in the tournament do not do that great. And Miami really looked good at the end of the year last year. Almost made the Final Four. And they're bringing in Nigel Pack. I'm really high on Miami. I'm gonna take the Canes. Florida State and Kentucky. I'm taking Kentucky. I think that's a pretty easy pick there. I don't think Florida State's that great. Gonzaga and Iowa. I'm tempted to pick Iowa, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna take Gonzaga. They got Drew Timme in his 8th year of college. It feels like. Taking Oregon over Iona for sure. I'm very tempted to take UConn. Sonogo's a goon, man. I'm taking UConn. I'm actually more high on UConn than I am Creighton. Like I said, I don't think Creighton's bad. I think they're still a very good team. I just don't think they're as good as some people are saying. I am taking UCLA over UAB. I think for sure. Houston and Virginia. I'll be taking Houston. Terrific team they got, man. I'm telling you. Illinois and Villanova. I'm definitely taking Villanova. They are very extremely hard to beat come March. I know we're in November, but think about it. I'm doing projections for what's going to happen in March. So, taking Villanova. Tennessee and Texas Tech. I'm going to take Tennessee. A rematch from that one tournament last year, Dayton and Kansas. I don't think Kansas will lose to Dayton again. I don't think it'll happen. I'm taking Kansas. Baylor and Michigan State. I'm definitely taking Baylor. Like I said, Michigan State will be good, not great this year. They have made the Final Four as like a 7th seed before, so I mean I wouldn't put past them to do something here. TCU and Auburn, for sure taking TCU. TCU is a really strong team. Definitely taking them. Easy over Auburn. Texas A&M and IU. This will be a good game. I'm going to take IU, though. I'm taking Indiana. And then Purdue and Duke. I'm really not that high on Duke. Duke's kind of like Arkansas. They're also full of a lot of freshmen. And this is the first year without Coach K. So, I don't know how Duke will handle that, but I'll definitely take them to beat Purdue. That's the Sweet 16. Let's keep it rolling. I'm taking UNC over San Diego State. I really think I feel like San Diego State could contend. Really, I feel like they could. They could win this game. San Diego State's a good team. Kentucky. See, here's my issue with Kentucky. how good are the players surrounding Oscar Tshiebwe going to be? Because remember when they lost to St. Peter's last year, 15 seed beat them? It felt like Tshiebwe was like the only player on the court doing anything. It's like you had to carry that team like by their lungs. I feel like Miami, believe it or not, is a more well-rounded team. I'm extremely high. I'm on the Canes bandwagon this year. I'm taking Miami. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just a Kentucky hater, but I'm taking Miami. I'm tempted to take Oregon. I really am. Nah, I'm not. I can't do it. I'm gonna take Gonzaga. And then UConn and UCLA. I'm gonna take UCLA. I love well-rounded teams, and UCLA is very much a well-rounded team. Houston, for sure taking Houston. They're on a mission this year, I'm telling you. They are one of the best teams in the country for a reason. Houston is dangerous, man. Sasser, and they're on a mission. Highest returning production from last year. Houston is really good. And I'm taking Tennessee over Kansas. I think they're a step above Kansas this year. I know Kansas won the national title. Lost a lot from that team. I think Tennessee's a little better. I'm taking Tennessee. Baylor and TCU. Believe it or not, I'm taking TCU. Upset here, really. I'm liking them. I'm liking them a lot. Liking them a lot. TCU. Duke and IU. We're going IU. We gotta go IU. It's got to be IU. I mean, yeah, they're gonna be good this year. I promise you. Elite Eight now. Miami and UNC. I'm definitely gonna have to take UNC. Yeah, UNC will win this round. Gonzaga and UCLA. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just hard for me to trust Gonzaga. It's just so hard. I have the biggest trust issues with Gonzaga. I'm going UCLA. I'm sorry, Gonzaga. I just have so many I'm telling you, man, when you lose trust in someone, it is impossible to get back sometimes. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Gonzaga. I can't pick you till you win a national title. I can't do it. It will never happen. I'm not saying that you're never going to win a national title. I think you'll get there one year. But I'm not picking you till you do it. Tennessee and Houston. I'm definitely taking Houston. Houston team on a mission this year. You do not want to play Houston. And then what do we got? IU and TCU. Very intriguing matchup. Two teams that really were kind of average in terms of tournament teams last year, but returned basically everyone. We gotta roll with IU. We I go to the school, man. We gotta roll with IU. Ah, shit. Hold on. Once I get like more teams in here, it starts lagging. So I apologize. So the Final Four. Johnny, do you approve of this? Final Four is UNC, Houston, UCLA, and Indiana.
I don't know. I don't think Houston's a contender. I think they're.
Houston, not a contender.
I think they're gonna choke.
You think they're gonna choke? I don't know. We'll see. First Final Four matchup is North Carolina and UCLA. Definitely North Carolina, I feel like. It's going to be hard for anyone to beat.
UCLA.
You like UCLA?
Yep.
I'm taking UNC. And then Houston and Indiana. I feel like I've already ridden the IU train a little too far. I'm definitely taking Houston. And our national title matchup is Houston and North Carolina. I think these are definitely the two best teams to start the year. I think these two teams are a cut above the rest. And I'll give you one thing. I'll show you something. Does anyone know where the Final Four is being held this year? Take a guess if you know where the Final Four is being held. But I know where it's being held. And it is a huge advantage for Houston. It is in Houston, the Final Four is. That home court advantage, the fact that they would be playing close to home. I'm taking Houston as my preseason pick to win the national title. But yeah, it's a long way away. It's a long ways away. But this is what the preseason bracket looks like. Let me know who you guys are picking to win in the comments below. And I'm about to head out and go to the IU game here in about an hour. So that should be fun. I don't know what a Moorhead State is, but we're playing them. So yeah, should be exciting. But go Hoosiers. Hopefully they win it all. Probably. I mean, they're a contender. They have as much of a chance as anyone else. Johnny, what do you think? How do you think IU's doing this year? Elite Eight. I said Final Four, but I'm a little biased. All right, love y'all. See you next time.